is Wandering, Western Australia. It's part of what is called the wheat belt. So big grains and sheep around here, but really just gorgeous pasture lands and really not many people living around here. I'm visiting someone I met in India, Helen, who's done really impressive work with aging community members, and her house is just down that way. She let me ride her ATV out on her pasture lands. I'm very grateful to be here. Still waiting for my first kangaroo sighting. I hear they're everywhere. The next morning, Helen and I drove down to a town called Augusta. She was giving a presentation to the community about the service she offers called Aging in Place, which caters to seniors living in rural and remote areas to help provide them care in their own homes, as opposed to moving to dedicated care facilities in cities. So, fun fact, this town of Augusta, Western Australia, is actually the furthest town on Earth from my hometown of Waterville, Maine. The water here is just a brilliant blue. This is probably the closest I'll ever be to Antarctica, so I'm trying to soak in those harsh polar vibes. Helen and I then drove to the small farming town of Northcliffe, where we would spend the night at a local pub. Along the way, we enjoyed the beautiful and unique cherry tree forests. And I saw my first kangaroos. Well, I'm here on a bench in the town of Northcliffe. This is the one spot in the town with internet. There's like a public Wi-Fi modem, and I had to do an application for a police clearance. So I'm enjoying the quiet scenery of this very sleepy Australian town at night. I accompanied Helen to workshops in 2 more communities the next morning, and then it was time to head back to Perth. Welcome to Kalamunda, a very sleepy little suburb of Perth, and very beautiful. It's up on what they call the Scarp, which is a north-south running embankment that divides the low coastal plain from the hills of Perth. And because of that, it's a little bit cooler, a little bit more forested. Nice place to live. Peter and Pamela, who organized the conference that I went to in India, have been kind enough to let me stay with them in Kalamunda during my time in WA, in between my trips into the outback with Fair Game, and I'm having a great time here. They have a beautiful, beautiful place. I continued my work with Fair Game by visiting their main office in Perth, and by going on 2 more volunteer trips. The first to a town called Warburton in the goldfields. This is Warburton. And the second trip was up to the tropical region of the Kimberley, where we visited the towns of Luma and Fitzroy Crossing. This is the Kimberley. I had so much fun on these weeks. Before our flight home from Broome, we even got to see the magnificent Gantham Point with its weird red rocks and dinosaur footprints, and also Cable Beach, which is one of the nicest beaches you'll ever see. Back in Perth, I continued having lots of fun adventures with Peter and Pamela. One day I had the opportunity to shadow Paul, who I also met at the conference in India, and who works in community building for the Perth suburb of Victoria Park. I learned lots about how Australian local government works. So this park is opening in 3 days. It's been a 10-year project for the town of Vic Park, and right now I'm part of this accessibility reference group. So it's a group of people who have been brought in by the town to give advice on how to make this park more accessible for more people. And there's been a lot of great comments so far. It's fun to see. I'm here in Rio. It's Perth's port town, very vibrant, beachy kind of destination, especially on the weekends. The roundhouse behind me is the first building that was built in the colony that is today Fremantle. So it's like the historic kind of thing. I just found the coolest map store here in Fremantle. It's a very cute area for shopping. Well, I figured I might as well try kangaroo while I'm here. It's quite delicious. I'm walking to this island in the river that functions as a kangaroo sanctuary. Yay! How are you doing? You look very happy in the shade. I'm here at Optus Stadium watching the Fremantle Dockers, which are one of two footy teams in WA. Footy is the biggest sport in Australia, so I think it's a rite of passage that I see this very quirky game in action before I leave. And Peter and his daughter, who I'm staying with, are super fans of the Dockers, so I'm here with them. The best way I can describe it is combine the look of rugby with the kicking from American football and add in a little bit of volleyball and basketball too. And then you have Australian rules football. The main way to pass the ball in footy is by drop kicking it. You can also bump the ball to your teammate, kind of like in volleyball. If you catch a ball that has traveled more than 15 meters, you get what's called a mark, which is an undefended drop kick. If you run more than 15 meters with the ball, you have to dribble the ball, kind of like in basketball. The main goal is to kick the ball between these two posts. That's worth 6 points. If the ball goes between the outer posts, that's just 1 point. If the ball hits the post, it's also 1 point. It's a good day for the home crowd. The Dockers are up by like 90 points. What a game! So Perth is a very rich city because all of the mining wealth that's generated in Western Australia is centered right here. And that wealth is very visible in the city. There's a lot of impressive infrastructure projects, like, for example, Perth has, I think, 7 or 8 metro lines. It's the most extensive metro that I've ever seen for a city of this size. And it has a ton of brand new buildings, like museums that are all free, and big parks and monuments everywhere. It's just, there's a lot of very beautiful new things to look at. For example, I'm walking right now in Kings Park, which is an 1,000-acre, beautifully manicured park right in the city center of Perth. A very unique urban asset and a great place to hang out on a nice day like today.